Hey, I'm Kristen Messerly with FirstHome IQ, and you are going to listen to an incredible masterclass by Geoff Zimpfer, the founder of Mortgage Marketing Institute. He has an amazing podcast and is an author of two really great books. Check him out. Go to mortgagemarketinginstitute.com and learn more. But today he's going to share a lot of just valuable content that he's learned how to generate realtor referrals, how to put on realtor events. And as someone who is listening to this, you will have access to the playbook around it. So definitely check that out. We'll put the link in the description or the comments. And also, if you are an ambassador of FirstHome IQ, you will have access to all of the materials he goes through, everything from the presentation itself to social media posts, flyers, the whole presentation kit for that presentation, and a blueprint that we co-created with him to help you design your events. So I will share with you just real quick what that looks like. So again, everybody will have free access to the playbook. And then for our ambassadors, you can have access to the success blueprint that goes through step by step everything you need to know. So if you are not an ambassador and you would like access to this and additional resources that we have available, including other playbooks from past ambassadors who have come on to deliver, you can go to firsthomiq.com/ambassador and learn more about the program and sign up for access to that material. And again, go to mortgagemarketinginstitute.com to learn more about Geoff and his latest book, Disrupt or Die. But this is going to be a fantastic conversation. So just to make sure to leave us comments, let us know when you actually utilize this and what your next steps and questions are. Thanks for watching.
One of my favorite things to do is to have impactful conversations with high-level mortgage professionals. And just the sheer fact that you're here today as part of the FirstHome IQ community tells me that you fit that description. So shout out, kudos to you guys for being part of what's really amazing and happening here within FirstHome IQ. Whether you're, if you're not yet an ambassador, hopefully you will become one. As you'll see in a moment, we're going to talk about leading with education. I think that is a key point of differentiation in moving forward always has been, but even more so today with, the guidance and direction that a lot of people need, both on the consumer side, but also on the referral partner side. So let's do this. I'm going to I broke my other pair of glasses. So if you don't mind, I'm going to put on these Harry Carey glasses. No judgment here. You know what I'm saying? We already established how old I am earlier before you guys came on live because I said I graduated in like 84. So let's do that. Instead of like what state or city are you in, what year did you graduate high school? Put that in there right now. I want to see who is with me here on the senior club. All right. 96, Tom. All right. Not bad. Not bad. Who's closer to me? 84 was my year. What do we got here? We got a few more coming in. 97, 83, Niska. All right. Wait, where are the cool? There we go. Michelle, Christopher. Yeah, that was the best. I'm a huge music fan. And, we were kind of joking a minute ago. Alex was born in like 1990-ish, I think. So we came up during probably one of the best times for music, right? 80s. Let's face it, man. If you're into hair bands, right, and rock, that was one of the best times. All right, look at this. We got a lot of, so now I feel comfortable. I got a lot of people is roughly the same age group as me, so you get the glasses thing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I would love to have, instead of doing a presentation, I would love to just have a conversation. And today, as you know, the premise is leading with education to double your realtor referrals. And so just know that the reason you're here, how many of you showed up here because you want more realtor referrals? Just put a yes, a Y, a hell yeah, a thumbs up, whatever in the chat. Is that why you're here today? Is because you would like to solve that problem? Okay. So Brady says yes. Meg, 100. Joy. By the way, this is how I roll, folks. So get used to the interaction. Or I might even invite you guys to unmute because we're a small enough crew where we could do that. Okay. So by the way, for those of you who aren't answering, why are you here? If that's not the answer, maybe you're multitasking. Let's hope not. Then let's do this. Let's do an exercise. I just came out of, and I was sharing this with Kristen and Katie before we went live. I'm going to go off the reservation here a little bit. I just got out of a 2-day event hosted by Alex Hormozy. I don't know if anybody follows Alex or not. Anybody here know who he is? Darlene's nodding her head. Yes. If you don't, you should follow him. Okay, there's a lot of yeses. A lot of people in our industry know him or who he is. So he has this 2-day onsite. His office is here in Vegas, where I live, acquisition.com. And there's about 100 entrepreneurs from around the world. The furthest one was Germany, New Zealand. And then here's me. I drove 15 minutes, which was nice. But if you don't know anything about Alex, he's very smart. His portfolio, and I know I'm off the reservations, but stick with me. There's a point. His company basically invests in other companies and takes a stake in those companies and invests them to help them scale and grow and increase their multiples for potential large exits, right? And those types of things. So the room of these entrepreneurs, right, ran the gamut from little old guy like me, who's running a business here, as running an agency, coach, all that jazz, to the highest level I heard was there was a guy in the room doing 60 million a year. So it's obviously not mortgage focused. And Alex's company itself does over $500 million a year in terms of total collective portfolio. And day one of the main focuses about day one, and this is the exercise that I think is relevant. I just had this conversation with a loan officer 30 minutes ago. This loan officer came to me, wants to solve the same problem that you just said. You want to get more realtor referrals. So I want you to get out a pen and paper, right? And I want you to go through this exercise with me. So on the left-hand side, right, you've got, let's just say, if you were to solve the problem of realtor referrals, where are you now, right? What is your average loan production right now, units per month? Write it down. And then you draw a line, right, across that paper. And on the other side, write the goal. So let's say you're doing 5 loans a month and you want to get to 10. You want to double it. So it's where you are now versus where you want to be. In the middle is known as the gap, right? We need to fill that in. And then let's take the context of why you showed up today, which is realtor referrals, as probably, I'm assuming for many of you, a primary source of filling that gap. If that's a correct assumption, feel free to tell me. But we want to go from 5 to 10, and we want realtors to be some significant part of that. Is that a fair assessment so far for everybody of why we're here? A couple quick yeses will do fine. Yes. Okay, great. So next question is, of all the activities, let's start writing down, and you guys can even unmute or whatever, but what are the various activities that you've done in the past, currently doing, or could do to increase your realtor referrals? And you can type some of the examples in the chat there as well, like some obvious ones. Cold calling, right? What are the open houses? Thank you, Brady. Now you guys are getting it. We're rolling. So you can do open houses. Somebody can type in cold calling if anybody's keeping the track here. Let's see, what else do I have written down here? Networking events, social media content, lunch and learns, Niska, videos plus networking. Yeah, so there's a lot of things we could do, right? Break breads, yep, lunch, coffee, all that jazz, classes. So what I would like to do is this. Back to the Alex Hormozy thing is, as a business operator, which is what you are, to fill in the gap from where you are to where you want to be, you want to get more realtor referrals. So you can go from 5 to 10, wherever your number was. There are a lot of things you could do. And one of the things that day one helped us identify is, what are the constraints in your business? A constraint is a limitation, right? So right now, the constraint is for you, based on your answers, is you're not getting enough realtor referrals. Great. There's other constraints in your business as well. And we can't address all constraints all at once, right? Or it'd be spread too thin. And so one of the questions, the filtering questions is what's the leveraged activity? What's the key needle mover, driver activity, the domino, that if I did this activity and actually at the expense of others, because you guys throw in like break bread, social content, all that kind of jazz. Well, can you do all of those things equally well? Probably not. Like, one of the biggest problems most entrepreneurs have, let's take social media, for example, is people are dabbling. They got, they're toeing the water on Instagram. They're toeing their water on YouTube, on TikTok, and this and that. And they're spread across too many platforms, too thin, and therefore they never get any real momentum or progress on social media. Well, it's the same with these activities that you could be doing, right? You're probably doing a few of those examples I see here at various levels of focus and attention, and therefore you never really develop any momentum. It's up and down. You don't make any real progress, or if you do, you get busy, and therefore you're like, I'm going to stop doing the one thing that moves the needle. Oh, refis are up, so I'm going to stop prospecting. Right. So the question once again is, of the ideas you guys put in there, cold calling classes, breaking bread, all the other things, social media videos, how many of you agree that it makes sense with the limited time that doing a leveraged activity would be a good use of your time? What do I mean by leverage? Is it gives you multiple returns on your effort. How many agree that makes sense to do that? Just plain and simple. Leveraged activities. Yeah, exactly, right? So of the ideas you guys put in the chat or wrote down on your paper, which one of those is the most leveraged activity for you? Is it breaking bread? Is it cold calling? Is it networking? Is it video and social media? Which of those things do you think, if you executed on that consistently over a long enough period of time to develop momentum and get airborne, which of those do you think would return, move the needle the most? Feel free to put your answers in. Jimmy says networking. And social SM. I assume you mean social media, Jimmy. More break bread. Okay. Julie says break bread. How do you get the break bread, by the way, Julie? Let's pause a minute. I want to focus on that for a second. This is very interesting for me. Email marketing. Interesting. All right. Let me do it this way. What is the goal? We're talking about getting realtor engagement. That's why you're here. Leading with education to double your realtor referrals. That's the title. So how do you get break breads? If that's the most leveraged activity for you, Julie, if you don't mind, I'll take you as a use case. Feel free to unmute if you want, or you can just put it in the chat.
When I'm calling them on Mondays and giving them market updates.
You're not calling them on Mondays, or you are?
No, I am.
You are. So you're calling them on Mondays to give market updates, and you're inviting them to lunch?
Or coffee.
Yeah, break bread. How many connects are you making with those outbound calls?
Usually about 8 a week.
8 conversations a week?
8 break breads a week.
All right, so give me an example of a Monday. How many calls do you make?
About 30.
30? How many live connect conversations do you have in that period?
Usually at least 15.
15?
Mm-hmm.
And then of those 15, how many convert to actual break bread?
About 8.
About 8. So about 50%. Nice. Good. And that worked well for you?
Yes.
Awesome. And do you enjoy doing that?
It was hard at first because I feel like I'm going on blind dates, but
yeah.
And
are you getting
well?
Are you getting good results from that? Is that leading to business and deeper relationships?
Yes.
Okay.
In doing open houses and getting to know, I cold call realtors that I've never worked with, just trying to open up my sphere and make it bigger.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. And how long have you been doing that?
For about 3 months.
3 months. Okay. And have you gotten some referrals from it?
Yes.
Awesome. Congratulations. By the way, kudos to you, because not many people want to put in that type of consistent effort. You know what I mean?
At first it was hard.
Yeah. That's the one of the biggest challenges is people will do that, like I said, kind of on and off, right? They won't do it consistently every Monday for 3 months.
Right.
And Katie asked the question, are you calling the same agents weekly or a new list or?
No, I don't call all the same ones every week. I call new ones. And yeah,
okay.
Because I see them at realtor events and things, so I try to, do new ones, because I don't want to always be calling them and, did you play this weekend or work? Because I want to do open houses too.
Yeah. Very good.
And have them introduce me to other realtors, the buddy system.
Yeah, smart. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. Thank you, by the way. And I see a couple others in here. There's email marketing, there's open house. And the reason why I wanted to isolate this, and thank you for playing along, is because um, like that's the other thing that Alex Ramosi made a very clear example of. If you follow his work or anything like that, and he kind of teaches what he did, right, to quote unquote be successful, is it's what works for you. Like
Right.
we're going to talk about a specific method that I've used and helped other loan officers do, but it's about what works for you, right? And what will you do consistently and repeatedly? Because if you granted, yes, you can break through the suck and get to do something and all, but if you know what I'm saying, it's like it's got to be something that feels right for you to do as well. I think yes, you can force yourself to make cold calls, but eventually that's going to stop if it sucks and you hate it all the time. Let's just face it, okay? We don't like to do stuff that repeats on pain. So let me do something real quick here and jump into sharing some slides if you guys don't mind. I will start right from this one right here, and hopefully my presenter stuff works. Okay. Love the interaction today, guys, by the way. Thank you so much for that. I'm just going to move something over to my other screen. And I'm going to ask you for more participation here in a minute as well. Okay. All right. And I'm going to share a screen. Here we go. So in my experience, and I got in this industry in 2003, and I did everything you guys said in the chat. I cold called, I door knocked, like you name it. I did everything, right? And the question is like, do those things work? Well, you already heard that they do work, right? We've got one loan officer who's making cold calls and getting conversations and meetings and getting referrals. So everything works. Here's my saying: everything works. It just works differently for different people at different times. Like door knocking in Manhattan does not really pay off, right? So this is all right. Results will vary based on you, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to do here is talk to you about why this is my experience, and this is now over 300 interviews on my podcast. 80% top producer interviews. Why you perhaps aren't getting more agent referrals. Number one, and by the way, just Katie or somebody keep me honest. You guys are seeing the slides. Want to make sure. So number one, you're talking to the wrong agents. They simply don't have any business. Okay. Number two is you have a weak value proposition. Like before this call, I said I was talking to a loan officer, and what he told me his primary method of getting was doing cold calling, right? And at one time, his value proposition was, I have the lowest rates available, which, because of the savvy group that's here, you all know that's not a sustainable value proposition, nor is it a strong value proposition, right? Like how many of you here would not want to lead with, I have the lowest rates in town, right? It immediately puts you at a disadvantage. It's a slippery slope. That's the race to the bottom, right? By the way, my position on cold calling, by the way, just so you know, as I said, it can be right for you, is you already are at a disadvantage as well if you're cold calling, okay? The reason being is because what I don't want to do is I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to be perceived to be like every other loan officer in town. So another reason why I see most LOs don't get enough referrals is you're simply not talking to enough people. This, when it comes to real estate agents and engagement, at the beginning stage, it is a law of large numbers game. It's a volume game. So you got to start wide before you can go narrow. Another reason, they're loyal to their current lender, which, by the way, is a great thing. Those are the kind of agents that you definitely want to earmark, right? Because, by the way, there's a lot of moving chairs on the Titanic, so to speak, right? With where we're at in the industry. And so there's a lot of shifting of relationships going on. And that's why it makes sense for you to double down right now on your outreach to real estate agents to capture market share. And the other reason is there simply isn't any no trust established yet, right? I mean, for them to shift their attention and direction and sending you referrals, it's a big deal, right? We all know that that's a high risk for people, for real estate agents. So let me bring up the next thing here. When you think about prospecting real estate agents, as I said, it's a volume game. The name of the game in the beginning stages is this is a funnel, right? And if you're selling a product or marketing, or you want to create awareness, you want to become known. You want, like, think of it like this. Here's the example I always give. Anybody ever see that movie? I'll pause the sharing here for a second. Anybody ever see that movie, I Love You Man, with Paul Rudd? I wish I had a screenshot ready to go. But for those of you who hadn't seen it, Paul Rudd and Jason Segel, anybody know what I'm talking about, that movie? It's called I Love You Man. Yeah, Jimmy knows it. Right? If you haven't seen it, go watch it this weekend or whatever, because Paul Rudd plays a real estate agent who's down and out on the block. And Kristen knows it. And so the short version of the story is this Jason Segel's character befriends Paul Rudd, and he's like this, muse or whatever, who helps Paul Rudd kind of find himself. But one of the things he does, Paul Rudd's down and out, in LA, can't get a deal as a real estate agent. And so Jason Segel takes out a bunch of billboards. And you can Google this, it's funny as hell. And so it's pictures of Paul Rudd in a Speedo, pictures of Paul Rudd with the cowboy outfit on and the hat and shooting and all this kind of stuff. And it's funny as hell. Anyway, next day, Paul Rudd's phone rings off the hook. It's crazy. He's losing his mind because all these billboards are like putting in this, photos that he did not want to be in or known or seen as, right? But the point being is that he got very well known. And so I asked loan officers this question: wherever you work right now, imagine your town, community, zip code, wherever it is, there's whatever that main thoroughfare freeway is. If there was billboards of you up around your local town with your photo on it and your name, and it said loan officer, how many real estate agents would recognize you? In most cases, very few, right? Like when those cold calls come, it's likely they don't know who you are. So you're up against this. And by the way, I can't see, forget whoever it was earlier, was it Justine, Julie? I think it was Julie. Like, for you to be able to overcome that is speaks to your skill set to overcome that. So shout out to you. But that's a difficult hill for a lot of people to climb. And so the name of the game, first and foremost, is awareness, right? To become known, to become the most valued loan officer amongst your realtor referral partners. And those who don't know you, who aren't referral partners yet, to become the most known, most valued loan officer, or at least perceived to be, right, in town. Because do you want to chase or do you want to attract referral partners? You guys tell me in the chat. Do you want to chase or do you want to attract? You want to attract, right? Because again, it's all about positioning, advantage positioning, all the various things that make sense that go with that. Okay, let's get back into our show. So top of the funnel, it's a volume game, awareness. What do we want to have happen after some awareness is created? We want to have engagement, right? What does that mean? That means conversations. And by the way, these can be in person, online, all that kind of jazz. And then ultimately we want that to lead to a conversion. Here's the problem. This is where most loan officers hang out with agent prospecting. They're seen as a solicitor because they're cold calling, and the perception is to get versus give. Now, Julie's the exception perhaps to that, if I have the correct person's name who we chatted earlier. Next is, right, you move to that rung of you're a vendor. And the reason why you're seen as a vendor and often remain in that stage of being seen as a vendor is because most LOs will fall in love with their products. And so they lead with their products and price. Like I said a moment ago, that LO I talked to, I got the lowest rates in town until the next lowest rate. It's like 6 minutes abs, and then it becomes 4 minutes abs, right? There's always somebody who's going to be lower than you. And so most LOs remain stuck there. That's because they lead with that. And therefore, that's why the 3-card approach, that's why the lack of loyalty, a lot of factors that go into that, right? You're seen as a salesperson. That's not a relationship. And what I'm proposing today by leading with education, which you'll see in a moment, is that you leapfrog these first 2 stages and you go right to the stage of being perceived as a peer and possibly a partner. And then ultimately we continue to move those relationships up the ladder until you become seen as a leader and a mentor. Okay. Now, here's what I know. I got in this business in 2003 in Orange County, California. I didn't know a soul. I started from ground zero, and I did everything everyone talked about right here. Cold call, chase, open house, broker preview, brought bottles of champagne, you know, you name it, I did it, everything. As I said earlier, do those things work? Yes. Do they work repeatedly and consistently as a system? No. It's hit and miss. So here's another thing I learned from the Hermosi event, right? Systems. If you read Michael Gerber in the E-Myth, he has a line in the book, the E-Myth. The system is the solution. And so if you have a system that works, right, you should be executing on that system, perfecting that system. And does it work? Is that the best choice of activities and systems for you to execute? Like I said earlier, you could do a lot. You could pull call. You could do break bread. You could do networking and happy hours in this net. We could do a lot of things. But what's going to move the needle most and give me, right, compressed time and give me leverage? That's the game I needed to play. That's the thing I needed to fix when I started as an originator in 2003, because I had a baby at home, took a HELOC out of the house. We had bills to pay. He's the only breadwinner. And I'm like, shit, I need to figure this out. I need to get more deals fast. And so I had to make a decision. What was the one thing, that the domino mover that I was going to do? Because those other things, even though they were trickling in deals, they weren't making me 5 Mile famous. There were no billboards. I was not attracting. And so that's why, for me personally, I switched to starting to teach classes to real estate agents. Yes, I'm sorry if I just lost anybody right now. Teaching class. Oh my God. Really? Is that the magic trick? Well, I don't know if it's a magic trick or not. All I know is it's a fundamental activity on my podcast for 8 years, 300 plus episodes. When I ask these top producers what their number one source of business is, and they tell me it's real estate agents, and then I ask what are the activities that they do to get those business, 8 out of 10 of them do some type of classes or events, because it's a leveraged activity, because it works. And so it's not bright and shiny and sexy, but it works, right? Just like monitoring your calories works and working out works. It works and it's boring. And that's back to Hermosi. That's one of the biggest areas that most entrepreneurs fail, is because they get bright, shiny object syndrome, right? Because you're attracted to that and you're like, oh, well, this thing over here, kind of bored with that. So the real question is why not, make the main thing, which is awareness, engagement in conversations, and how do you do that in a leveraged way? I'm just telling you what worked for me and the answers I get from top producers on what works for them. For instance, there's one of the people that on my podcast, Matt Weaver, out in Florida. Matt Weaver is I know it goes between him and Sean Panosian, right? But Matt Weaver is ranked the #1 loan officer in the country, I believe, by purchase units. And of course, Shant is #2, but it doesn't matter. Well, one, it depends how you track the numbers. But the point being is, Matt Weaver, since the NAR settlement announcement over the last several months, has been doing 4 classes per month, 4 events per month. Shant Panosian does events and classes. If you look at some of the top producers that are on the Scotsman's Guide list, you will see, go to their websites, as I have done, and you will see that they do events and classes on a regular basis. So, who here has done events and classes before? In the chat. Lunch and learn, call them whatever you want to call them, right? Okay, so Dustin, Meg, nice. Katie, I try and I suck. Jimmy, come on, Jimmy, you're better than that. Jeremy. All right, have you done them? Here's the next question. Who here's done them consistently? And by consistently, I mean every single month for a minimum of 6 months. So Jeremy, thank you for your honesty. Not you. Jimmy. Nope. Why? What's got in your way? I mean, 2 things. One is, do you think that's a laziness? Man, honest crew here. Okay, attendance, lack of a system. Nice. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. All right, well, let me do this. Would you guys like to learn kind of the blueprint, success blueprint for agent classes, and see some examples, and maybe no sponsors? So now we get some chatted. So there's Meg, CE class. Do not do the teaching. It's once a month. I want to get certified to teach CE. By the way, quick side note on CE for me, Meg, I'll just share my personal belief on CE. It's not necessary. It's a crutch. Having CE is no guarantee at all that agents are going to show up for the class. Back in the day, they used to send their assistants to take the CE for them. I don't know if they still do that, right? But that's not what's going to get agents' butts in the a CE class. Let me, if I can, walk you through what I've learned now doing this since 2003. Here's why agent classes work. Number one, you attract versus chase. It's positioning, okay? Number two, you scale your awareness, billboard, right? Talk to more agents. And if you're in a room of 10 agents, right, that's 10 calls. That's 10 conversations. Not even 10 calls. It's 10 conversations, because calls don't always lead to connect. But you have the undivided attention of 10 or 20 or whatever agents for 1 hour, where you get to showcase your value for 1 hour. You get to develop rapport and connection, and you get to lead them to the next step, which is a conversation with you. So that's scale, that's leverage. Your value proposition is way stronger, right? Because now you're helping them, if you do it right, solve a problem. So you're building trust. And as somebody said here a moment ago, it is a proven system. It's a proven system. Quantity in at the top, wide funnel, right? A certain amount of people out the bottom of the funnel. So here's my success blueprint for agent classes. I'm going to go quickly now. I've got to keep an eye on the clock because I'll keep talking. Number one, your topic and title. That is just like what sells a book. What gets books off the shelf, what gets people to at least open the cover of the book is the title. Do we judge a book by its title? Yes, we do. I had a mentor back when I first started in Orange County, California. His name was Walter Sanford. He was one of the top realtors in the country. I brought Walter in to speak to my agents a few times. Walter sold a house a day every day for 16 years. And he said to me, Geoff, if you will help agents in these 3 areas, attract buyers and sellers, improve effectiveness, or help them stay relevant to what's working today, you will build loyalty, you will build your tribe, and you will never have to wonder where your next referral is coming from again, if you help agents with those 3 things. And that's what I did. Now, some people try and do that. Back to like the title of the class, you can go on Eventbrite right now, and you can go search classes that mortgage companies and loan officers are doing. Go do it. You'll see them doing classes. But here's one of the classes I found. This was the title of the class, Marketing Your Authentic Self. You're a real estate agent. You're busy. You're trying to figure a bunch of stuff out. You got people offering you all kinds of things to do and attend and all that. Attention is precious. Would you, based on the title of this class, make a reservation for this class? Would you click the button to go sign up or whatever? Said otherwise, is it really clear what this class is about? Niska, nailed it. No, probably because I asked the question the way I should have asked it in the first place. What the hell does marketing your authentic self mean? I have no idea. It's vague. But if you saw this class, you are the brand, the 5-step blueprint to get more clients, make more money, and stand up, is that much clearer. The payoff. Who feels more drawn in to click to learn more? Yes, Katie says so much clearer. So number one problem when people are putting on their classes is their titles usually suck. They're weak, they're vague, and there's no compelling reason for me as a real estate agent to choose from the other 3 classes I have to attend. Why should I attend yours? Okay, so that's number one. Here's a class that we are doing with my clients and members right now. You'll learn more about this at the end of our session today. So stick around on how you might be able to get a copy of this class for yourself. But the NAR settlement is a seismic event in our industry. This is the class we've been hosting. By the way, this is the class that Matt Weaver is hosting, that Champanosian is hosting, that under different versions and titles, right? But it's about how to help buyer agents showcase their value and secure their commission. This is called a value proposition. This is getting butts in seats. Why? Because it's top of mind, it's relevant, there's pain around it, and agents want and need help. And they're not getting a lot of help in a lot of cases. Here's a flyer that kind of showcases some of the other classes and topics that we've taught over the years. It's a little small on the screen, but you could read it out here. The NAR settlement, the next gen home buyers, Google business profile, YouTube, you are the brand, Instagram, video marketing, database marketing, Facebook leads, ChatGPT, how to get more listings. Oh, by the way, that's popular. secrets to convert more online. Like, guys, do you think those topics are relevant for real estate agents? Perhaps more so than the average CE class. And I'm not saying your financing classes, your mortgage 101, your DPAs, like that, those, they don't have relevance. They do, but you're just not attracting that wide of an audience. And remember, at the beginning, the goal in the beginning is to go wide, right? So that's step number one, titling your class. Step number two is your promotion, okay? Promotion plan, you've got to have a 3-week promo window, team up with partners and affiliates like Title, Escrow, Home Warranty, other affiliate members that have a vested interest in getting in front of real estate agents. You need to send a cadence of emails and text messages. Once they've opted in, you can send text messages. By the way, what's cool about that, that's automated and delegated. Social media posting, this is a huge area. Everyone talks about like social, how do I get a, what do I do on social? Well, by the way, a lot of loan officers attract agents into the world by what they post on social media. Yes, direct, consumer direct content. Yes, other types of content, but also when you're doing events and classes or little snippets of content. How about this? Imagine you're hosting a class with 20 agents in the room and you are capturing that video. And then you're then reposting that video as shorts, as highlights, as clips, right? And then you're using the relevant hashtags on Instagram per se to create awareness, to show up on other people's feeds. And then agents get FOMO, fear of missing out for old people like me, all right? But they get FOMO because they're like, what the hell was that? I didn't know about that guy. And then you get a DM, hey, why didn't you tell me about that class? This is leveraging the online with the offline. And then, of course, let's not forget the good old, right, tried and true warhorse, the phone. The loan officer I talked to earlier today, when he was all about cold calling, and he, lost his reason to cold call was, I have the lowest rates in town. I'm like, well, what if you were hosting an event that helped them overcome, right, this or that issue? Now you have a reason to call, and or send a video, one-off video message where you grab your phone, your email, your mobile phone, and you send a message to the top 10 agents, to the listing agents on the other side of the transaction over the last 6 months. And you're like, hey, Katie, what's up? This is Geoff at ABC Mortgage. You and I did that transaction at 123 Main Street. I'm hosting an upcoming class that's all about how to get more listings in a low inventory market. Thought of you. The team was awesome. Not sure if it's for you, but I'd love to send you a link for you to learn more or just reserve a seat for you. And that's a video text message or an audio message, whatever the hell you want. Now you have these outreach opportunities that you didn't have before. Does that make sense, guys? I want to take a pause and see if you guys are tracking with me right now. Let me know in the chat. Is this making sense? Okay. Christopher, thank you. Tom, Julie, Bueller. Yep. Dustin. Okay, cool. Now, by the way, I'm just going to skip forward here. I'm assuming everyone here is a mortgage coach user, hopefully. Remember that I said, you've got that audience now of 10 or 20 agents, whatever it is. Could be 6, could be 3. But now you can take 5 minutes and showcase your value as a trusted mortgage advisor. In the case of the NAR situation, right? There's 2 questions we're asking these agents. What do you do when the seller's not offering compensation and the buyer can't afford it? And you're in front of the room and you're asking agents that question. The slide isn't up yet. And they're like, I don't know, not show them those houses. That's called steering. We can leave that for another time, right? But what if you could use a beautiful tool like Mortgage Coach and show them a commission gap strategy and show them, okay, I can help solve the problem, even if the seller's not paying comp, even if the buyer can't pull out of pocket to pay you, right? I just want to show you what we can do with financing, building your commission into the purchase price, or you know what I mean, or financing it into the loan. And now you have these different strategies. And now you're positioning yourself as a partner, not a vendor, because a partner helps solve problems. You guys with me on this? But now you're in this room. Remember the call, remember everything we're trying to do to get to the conversation of like, I just want to be able to showcase my value, which is why people lead with products and price. Well, now you've earned the right to showcase and do a quick little promo of like, here's what makes me different. And I can tell you guys that of the agents who see this strategy and they go, what do you mean? I didn't know you could do this. And they're now, what they're saying to themselves is like, my lender hasn't shown me this. I didn't know you could do this. And then you have a brief, subtle, soft call to action somewhere at the end or wherever that says, hey, if you want to learn more about how we're helping agents overcome, right, some of the issues around, right, buyer agent comp, seller not offering, etc., put a QR code on the screen, scan the QR code, they go to your Calendly or whatever, and they schedule a 15-minute Zoom consultation with you where you walk them through deeper on how you do this. And then you move them to that next meeting, which is the break bread or whatever, where you want to go deeper on the thing. But that's a strategic top of funnel activity that of a room of 10 agents, you know, you would easily get 3, 4, 5, 7, right, of those post-class conversations. So that works because it's at scale. All right. I'm going to keep going for sake of time, and I'm going to come back full circle and we're going to talk about this. I do want to stress that no experts are needed. If you're going to lead with education and content, yes, it helps you to be knowledgeable. Some of the examples I put on the screen, some of you or loan officers have said, well, I'm not an expert in Google Business Profile, or I'm not great on Instagram. I want to tell you, you don't have to be. Case in point, a story of one of my clients in Maryland, Janelle Poole. She's a broker, and she was teaching a class that we offer our clients called YouTube for Real Estate. It shows realtors how to set up a YouTube channel, optimize channel art, keywords. You know, we show them realtor videos in the class so that the LO doesn't have to be on the hook of like being a killer on YouTube. So Janelle, she goes, hey, Geoff, the class was awesome. Everybody loved it. Agents thanked me. And she says, you know what's funny, Geoff? Not a single agent in the room said, Janelle, could we see your YouTube channel? And she says, you know what, Geoff? It's actually funny that no one asked that, number one. Number two, it's a good thing because, Geoff, I don't even have a YouTube channel. So you are the messenger. You are like the nightly news reporter who's reporting the news. As long as you can speak to information and follow a system and process that we've built out for our clients, then you can be the hero. Does that mean you shouldn't, right, become knowledgeable on certain things? No. All right, so lastly, your follow-up. Conversations lead to contract. All this leads to what I just kind of showed you guys here, your realtor interview, where you conduct the needs analysis, you build trust, identify pain points, and answer solutions. And then lastly, I also mentioned this is your consistency. One class a month. What I see best loan officers do is they book out a quarter at a time. So they know for the next 3 months, here's my schedule. It's advertised, it's on social, it's on my link tree, and they're always adding to the moving parade, right, of agents. So essentially what we're talking about here, come full circle, is create awareness, drive engagement that leads to conversations that lead to conversions, which is contracts. That's what I call the circle of referrals. How fast can it happen? Somebody I recently worked with earlier this year, Ori out of Louisiana, I think it is. Ori did his very first class on a Friday. He did what we call the 90-day CMA. It's a pretty cool video idea. He had 13 people registered. These are agents. 11 showed up. He also had a realtor show up that hadn't registered, just so happens to be a top 5 buyer agent. He spoke to her before, and he mentioned that he was planning on doing classes, but didn't expect her to show up. She showed up unannounced. After class was over, handed out the survey, give feedback. All but one realtor put they would want to meet with me to talk more about how we could partner together. Very excited about the turnout and feedback. By the way, since this was posted, I talked to Ori, and he closed the deal already with that top 5 buyer agent who sent him the referral, and they got under contract within 2 weeks following his class. Why? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think if Ori hosted a class about DPA, about FHA, about the latest loan guidelines or appraisals, would that have created the same result you think with that agent? A lot of you are saying, nah, I can't. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say no. Possible, it's happened, but remember it came back to value proposition, right? In that one class, what he showed this agent or this group of 11 agents is one video idea from a realtor in Florida that we got that generated $11 million in listings for that realtor in 90 days. And we showed them that same idea from that realtor and how they could do it too. Now, here's the secret, guys. Most agents will never do it. They're not going to execute the idea. It doesn't matter. Like my friend Walter Sanford told me years ago, Geoff, these ideas you bring them, it doesn't matter if they never do it. What they remember is you brought them idea. That's what creates the connection and value over the other lender who hasn't done shit or just hasn't called or isn't engaged and it's just showing up and being a vendor versus, dude, I'm trying to help you make more money. Now all of a sudden you can steer their head a little bit. All right. So guys, based on what I've talked about so far here, I'm almost out of time. I'm going to go back to the conversation I had with his loan officer this morning and go back to your list of activities you could do to get realtor referrals and the ones you put in the chat. Cold call, breaking bread, networking, social media, all the things you wrote down. We talked about what would move the needle, what's the domino effect, the leveraged activity. Where would you rate classes as compared to the other activities you have on your list? Would it be, I don't know what's the ranking, A, B, or C? Number one? Okay, there we go. Let's use numbers. Darlene says number one. It would be the number one leveraged activity for you to scale your reach and drive conversations. Anybody else? And if you think I'm full of crap, tell me I'm full of crap. I can handle it. PMI rep just visited your office because Geoff told us let's do a class in October. Meg says number one. Seriously, guys, where is it? By the way, as I said at the beginning, it doesn't have, you do what's right for you. You can still do the other method. And by the way, we're not saying, you get rid of the other methods. There's Jeremy, one. We're just saying what's the most effective for you. And I got success story after success story, guys, but when we have about 8 or 9 minutes left, who here thinks you would want to take on or try out teaching a valuable class for your agents in your local market? Dustin, why do I recognize your name? Have we worked together before? Tom. Okay, so we're getting a lot of yeses here. Meg says yes. Okay. So I'm going to pause for allow Katie or Kristen to come in, and we're going to talk about what's next for you guys. And I will take some Q&A if we have time for that as well. But all right.
Thank you so much, Geoff. This has been so valuable, and we have a lot of resources to share with you guys beyond just to feed off of what Geoff has shared. So for everyone on this call, you have access to a free playbook that is based off of the conversations that we've had today. So if you log into my FirstHomeIQ.com, our community, you will see actually that one's not the one. Let's see. You'll have access under the free resources, this playbook, and that will go through. So, topics that we've covered today, as well as we'll put the recording in there. And then if you are an ambassador, you will have access to all of the content that's coming specifically from the Mortgage Marketing Institute that Geoff has generously donated to the ambassador group to help you guys with really, building those relationships in your community, being a community leader. And so in there, you'll see the playbook, but you'll also have things like the presentation that he was sharing that is completely, you'll have access to that. And then my favorite thing is that success blueprint. So talking through exactly the timeline, what you need to have accomplished. This is for the ambassadors on the call. You've had these kinds of questions in our strategy calls about how do we really step-by-step set up these classes? And honestly, a lot of this information, and Geoff, you can speak to this, but I think is really effective with first-time homebuyer workshops too. I mean, you need that plan, you need that blueprint, and we have that lined up here for you so that you can make it easier just to say, okay, what's my next step? What's the blueprint for me to follow to do an effective event? So thank you so much, Geoff. Just to run through, you'll have access to these flyers, all coming from social media posts, all stuff coming from his organization. And of course, if you are interested in checking out more related to all the resources that Geoff has available, you can go to mortgagemarketinginstitute.com, check out his book and also the resources he has available. So, and if you are not an ambassador, you can join the ambassador program. If you go to firsthomeIQ.com/ambassador, you'll see a great clip of some other ambassadors like Jeremy Forcier and Shayla Gifford talking about how they are utilizing the content and a short video on, some of the resources that we have available, including things like the resource library, where we have playbooks from these master classes, and other presentation materials that you can leverage, including another like how to reach next gen home buyers that you can utilize with realtors as well. And then the last thing I want to mention, just in terms of announcements, next month we will have Tim Brahim on talking about database marketing, which I think will feed really well into this conversation. How do you put on a presentation, and then how do you leverage presentations to your database? So, and if you're an ambassador, Geoff is going to be on our office hours next week to really dive into these best practices and help you design your presentation plan and realtor referral plan. So make sure you join us for that. Anything you'd add to that, Geoff?
Yeah, first of all, once again, it's a great opportunity to be here, because if anybody's leading with education, I always have this, it's like, if you show up to serve, you can't lose, right? And so that's what you do when you lead with education, because that pays dividends, and it's got a ripple effect that essentially kind of goes on, forever, because things will come back full circle to you when you just show up to serve. So that's why I love what you guys put together here. I also want to point out, though, I'm all about, if you're not an ambassador, I hope this pushes you to become an ambassador, right? Because just like one loan would cover your ambassador tuition for the entire year. And in the slides for the ambassadors, what they're going to get, one of the things that the reason why, like, you ever get PowerPoints before and you're like, I don't know how the hell to use them. There's no notes or like context or anything. Like, that's not helpful. So that's why we're doing it differently here. Is like, you're going to get the slides with the speaker notes, and come back if you're an ambassador or you sign up by then. I'm going to train the trainer on how to deliver this presentation, which is winning the buyer presentation to real estate agents, how to showcase your value and secure your commission. So I'm going to take you through everything. This is just my way to do something bigger and greater with, community over here that I love. I've known Dade Savage for, 15 years. So I definitely want to add value to you guys and encourage you to be part of this community. And you will walk out of that session next week equipped with the slides, the speaker notes, social media images, the flyer, like everything you need, and follow my process and system to get started and put butts in seats and drive conversations. So hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Geoff. This has been so valuable. Yeah.
Hey, Geoff, before you go, first of all,
there's Dave.
Thank you. I know I'm out traveling, so I've been on the run, but I've watched most of this. Awesome gift to the community. Real quick, to put you on the spot, I would love to know how, like, if you were leading an event like this, you were leading an event with a bunch of realtors, and you wanted to create awareness and get them to take the FirstHome IQ quiz, and not only take it themselves, but now play that forward. Go share it with their kids, share it with friends that would do it. What's off the top of your head, just a way that you would position that in a training event? When would you position it in the training event, and how would you position it in the training event?
Yeah, I would probably position it about midway through, right? So the ask, so to speak, it's kind of like, when people on YouTube ask you to subscribe, it's done after the value has been presented, or some value. And that's why, I don't know if you saw it, but that's why we showcased the kind of the mortgage coach screenshot there with the commission gap strategy. When we did, is we kind of earned permission to do the ask. So if I was in a live setting with real estate agents, obviously I would want to lead up to why that makes sense to tie in that ask right then and there. So that'd be one thing I do is, and then of course you got to package it as to why does that make sense for them, both personally, from an education standpoint, and for them to get a sense of how you as a mortgage professional, like, that's also a chance for you to showcase, here's the value, here's what I do. Like, this is how I bring value to my clients. Like, if you were to send me a client, right, this is how I lead from the top with education and value. And any good agent's going to love and appreciate that. But then I do obviously all kinds of other things. Like, I would definitely ask them if this makes sense for you to share with your first-time home buyers or people who might not have purchased a home before. Who doesn't want an educated client? Yeah, we all want an educated client, right? So how do you do that? What process do you take them through? Well, ideally, I want to integrate my process using the quiz with their process and get them to agree that, yeah, this makes sense for the overall customer experience. Does that help?
Got it. Yeah, no, that's really helpful. I totally agree. The sequence matters. And then just a reminder to everyone, what's in it for realtors? They want to sell homes. So
Yeah.
if they want to build brands, they want to be 5 minutes famous, like Jeffrey said. And so being that ambassador that's introducing families to this, and then they're playing it forward, you're going to sell more homes and you're going to build your brand. So thank you, brother.
Hey, real quick, if I can piggyback on that one other idea. I mean, it just, when I'm thinking about because I know I'm all about process, you're all about process, and integrating the process between realtor and LO. I would love to have, if it were me, I'd be saying, asking real estate agents, do you think it would make sense as a point of introduction, right, that we have these clients take this quiz, right, to ensure we're working with somebody who's properly prepared and educated on the home buying process. One other idea real quick is, does anybody here have any ghosted leads, old leads, or people, whatever, that, haven't bought or never got past a certain stage? Well, you can leverage the quiz as another reach out opportunity, right? To ask them to, hey, I've got something that might make you home ready, whatever, all that jazz. Go complete this quiz. And that's another way to maybe bring people back to the top of the phone.
I love it. Great idea, man.
Cool.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
Who's becoming
Thanks, everybody.
ambassadors? Let's go.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.